Welcome to the Meat, Body, and Soul podcast. I am Jodelle as usual, and let me tell you about what I love about my next guest. Not only has she made meat-based lifestyle for herself, but she explains how you can emphasize and optimize a meat-based diet without being dogmatic and demonizing other foods that aren't carnivore. This individual has a really good perspective on, make it a lifestyle, but make it your lifestyle, the way that you're going to take care of your health, because we're all individuals at this point, and we need to remember that. So, Courtney Luna, the carnivore in the kitchen, is here with me today, and I'm super excited because she makes me laugh. Like, this girl makes me laugh whenever I watch her. Courtney is a professional chef and the author of the book Carnivore in the Kitchen. And before you think this podcast is only about meat, let me tell you, this gal is more than that. She keeps it real, as you will find her regularly blogging and podcasting on YouTube, offering a real life practical approach to dialing in your health, her hormones, and not to mention her humor when it comes to all things health and wellness and nutrition and ebbing and flowing. And I love her realism about how she feels day after day. And sometimes she's putting on makeup while she's talking to you. So she just keeps it real. And you got to love that about this gal. So I certainly do. And that's why I brought her on. And speaking of hormones, today we're going to talk about all things hormones on a meat-based approach, specifically for females, because we're both females here, and glucose on a meat-based diet, fat loss plateaus, and why many of us stall on our fat loss journey doing carnivore or doing a meat-based approach. Things like cravings, fasting, should we, shouldn't we, and even homeschooling, since Courtney and I homeschool our children. So maybe we'll get to that as well. So I'm stoked to have you here, Courtney. Thank you for being on.
Wow, thank you. I was tearing up listening to that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to listen to this intro every day to
Oh,
it just, that was I don't know that I needed to hear that. So thank you. That I'm just I don't even know what to say. That was like really kind, and I'm glad that I guess is like what I'm putting out there too.
hmm.
Like I'm glad that's what you're picking up.
Oh yeah.
So thank you for that. I'm excited to be here and chat with you.
For sure. I mean, that's totally what I get from you when I'm watching you. And I love people that keep it real. And that's why I wanted to bring you on because, life is hard for a lot of people and they're trying to do the right thing, but sometimes you don't feel like you are. And especially as women, guys can go on a carnivore or meat-based approach and it's like, oh, I'm instantly healthy, everything's good, my testosterone's through the roof, I dropped 50 pounds, I'm great. And then a woman does the same thing and you hear, I'm feeling really good, but gosh, I would love to see some other changes, right? So, but before we dive into that, just briefly share with us your journey on, gosh, you've lost 56 pounds. So I shouldn't say that nobody really loses, but it was a journey. So let's talk story first, and then we'll get into some strategies you've discovered.
Yeah, so I've been carnivore now 3 years. It was a long history of yo-yo dieting to get here. I got a little closer to optimal health with keto and low carb, paleo, all that. But yeah, I tried to stop all that and do eat everything in moderation. And I honestly, I went on a bender. I gained 40 pounds in 4 months and I was just feeling awful. So when my husband was sending me Dr. Paul Saladino's TikToks on animal based, I'm like, yeah, let's give that a shot. Like, I'm feeling awful. I'm very overweight. So we gave it a shot and I didn't even know all the health benefits that would come along because I wasn't even following other influencers and I just didn't know a lot about that. So coming at it from weight loss and being like, wow, my skin is clearing up. My mental health is better. I'm able to go off of my medication for anxiety and depression. And yeah, it was life changing. And I lost, a good amount of weight in the beginning. It took about maybe 9, 10 months. I lost 45 pounds. And
Wow.
the next 10, I guess 12 pounds, like really took 2 years. And to be honest, I still have another 15 pounds that I've just been struggling to get off. And carnivoring harder hasn't always been the answer.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, and what I'm realizing now too, and we talked about this a little off camera, is I might be having some mold issues. And
Mhm.
what I hear is that mold is stored in your fat cells and your fat cells don't want to let go of all that because then the mold's going to be floating around. So I'm just discovering this morning that that actually might be my issue for, why I'm holding on to this extra weight right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that is so like we were discussing, I feel you completely because someone who goes through hormonal changes where they're doing all the right things and either the weight's still coming on or it's not coming off, you definitely want to look at those factors because yeah, it totally mold is like an undertaker. So it gets in your system and it's slowly trying to deteriorate you. But in all things in nature, when stuff is sick, it gets larger. Like think of a supernova, like a star that's about to explode. It gets bigger. And a lot of times before when people get sick, they get larger. So it's like our cell's protective mechanism of like store everything you can because our body's under stress. All of that can be reversed though. And you've done a lot of good already. So outside of maybe some new information you just came to with your blood work, what are some big things that happened for you that you knew your health was being affected by going meat-based?
Yeah, I'd say like the mental health was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just almost like irritates me now in hindsight. Like, I had my psychiatrist at the time suggest I go on Zoloft, and so my OB at the time was the one that prescribed it. So both of those, professionals never asked like what my diet or lifestyle was. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you're miserable? Great, let's have some medication." So realizing now that your diet is linked to how you feel, and eating a high inflammatory diet is going to inflame your brain, and that's going to lead to anxiety and depression. So yeah, it was life changing. Even just being animal based with, having some fruit, I noticed those shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I just want everybody to know that, if you're miserable, let's look at your diet,
Yeah.
that plays such a huge part. And it sounds silly to say I never like realized that because of course, like you wouldn't put diesel into a car that takes regular gasoline. So like, why would I think I'm thriving eating Oreo McFlurries every night, So I think that that's my main thing is just the mental health side of things. Because if
Yeah.
you don't have that, like you don't have a life. Like if you don't
Yeah.
want to get out of bed every day, like you're not having a good life for the rest of the day. So yeah, taking care of that has just been everything.
Did you notice any change like with your energy level, your mental energy, your physical energy?
Yeah, I definitely felt a shift in that. Yeah, because I mean, there was mornings where I couldn't even get out of bed. Like I was just so lethargic. I woke up feeling tired, even if I had a good night's sleep. So yeah, shifting that like gave me my energy back, gave me my brain back, gave me my life back for sure.
And you work out. I hear you talk about working out. Were you working out prior to going meat-based carnivore?
I was always like on and off. I'm so bad at being consistent with working out. So, I mean, there was times where we would like go hard in the gym and then it would kind of fall off. But yeah, during those 4 months where I was gaining 40 pounds, I'm pretty sure I wasn't working out. Like, I don't remember, but I highly doubt at that time I was doing anything. I just wasn't in a good place at all.
Yeah. And how about your gut health? Were you having any gut issues prior to going carnivore?
Not any issues, but always just being gassy, which I just thought was normal. They even say like the average person, passes gas however many times a day, and it's just like, oh, that's just normal. And especially, oh my gosh, the keto low carb tortillas. I love those things so bad. Like the texture, they're so gummy, but it's like
Yeah,
11 or 14 grams of fiber per tortilla, and I would have like
right.
four. Like I would like binge on those essentially, and it would just tear my stomach apart. So yeah, going carnivore when you're strict, there's no gas and there's no smell.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to think, I think when I'm having spices, like there will be like an odor when you go to the bathroom, but
Hmm.
other than that, like if you just keep it simple, like yeah, to not have gas, like that's amazing.
It is amazing. And same with like I've heard clients say, I just thought it was normal to be bloated every day. I didn't know you could wake up and like not be bloated and go through your day and not be bloated. So it's really cool when people have these aha moments about, oh, I'm not just this, I actually can be better than I think I am. So now what about your family? Were they supportive? Like you have children, you have a spouse, like tell me about that.
Yeah, so they were because this is essentially my husband's idea to get us started on this. So he
Okay.
was down for it. It took us a while to make some changes with my kids. Like I didn't want to immediately like, change what they were eating as far as like removing vegetables. Now, they're not carnivore. I would call them
Right.
more animal based, but
Mhm.
they don't have vegetables anymore, to be honest. And if they wanted them, I would give them. I
Mhm.
mean, they have access to them. Say we go to like a buffet or something, they're there. But they don't want broccoli, you know?
Yeah.
So they do fruit, and we, just try and teach them proper nutrition. And, if they go to a birthday party and eat all the crap, it's like, okay, well, notice how you feel now, so just like bringing awareness to them, and trying to not demonize foods and just teaching them more about it, because I don't want them to go to a kid's house in the future and like binge on all the things that mom wouldn't buy them. So we do try and have a little bit more of balance with them, but keeping
Mhm.
it very meat based with some fruit, some dairy, occasional sourdough, and then occasional treats just to hope I'm not screwing them up.
Yeah, that's the same with my daughter too. I offer her all the different food groups, but she kind of gravitate, when they see us eating it, and she might pick some other foods, but for the most part, like she wants the meat too. I mean, most kids will, if it's a well quality, well cooked meat, they're going to reach for that versus like a box of cereal if you give them the option. So, as far as like you became a chef based on the fact that you had already been your carnivore chef because you kind of had already been a chef on a yacht, right? That was probably fun.
Yeah, so just to make it clear, I'm self-taught. I had someone that was like, "You cannot call yourself a chef if you didn't go to culinary school." I'm like, "Okay, then don't call me one." But when I was getting hired for jobs, that's what the title was.
Yeah.
I was a chef.
Hmm.
So yeah, I did yachting for about like 7 years. Started out as a stewardess, working closely with the chef, and I'm like, "Well, I want to do this." I'm like, "I love cooking. Like, I want to make money cooking for everybody instead of scrubbing the toilets, So joke was on me. My first cooking gig I got was actually a chef stew. So I would cook for the crew, but then I would still have to scrub all the toilets and stuff. But yeah, towards the end of my yachting career, I was freelance chef. So I wasn't permanently living on the boats. I was living on land, and then I would just fly out and do these trips, like fly out to the Bahamas, and I would deliver the boat back to Fort Lauderdale. Or I had one boat where I was in the San Juan Islands for about like 6 weeks with a family and cooked for them and cleaned the toilets as well.
Oh.
But yeah, it was amazing. It was like seems like a whole other lifetime ago. Very similar to the show Below Deck. If anybody has watched that on Bravo, it kind of gives a obviously there's more drama, but it gives a good like insight into the job duties and the daily life on the boat. So pretty cool.
So then going into carnivore, you decided, well, I've got these ideas and these things I'm cooking and I'm a chef. Why not make a cookbook?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, even before carnivore, I was showing up online sharing low carb and keto recipes.
Hmm.
Just no one cared. And then it wasn't until going carnivore where people are like, oh my gosh, you're not eating vegetables. This is crazy. So that's when I really started getting the attention. And yeah, so I was just sharing my journey like, here's what I'm eating, here's what I'm making. And yeah, never. It's always been a dream to have a cookbook, but I never would have thought it would have been a carnivore cookbook. Like that just it still seems crazy because it's like you're not even using hardly any ingredients, it's just animals and animal products. So
Yeah.
I still think it's pretty wild, but yeah, it was a fun experience and yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, in a short amount of time too. So you've been busy, you've been homeschooling and cooking and making vlogs and stuff like that, and you're very consistent. So I like that. So going through this and losing that first 45 pounds and then working on the rest of this, what have been like the outside of meat, obviously, but the top five, maybe you would say needle movers for you when it came to like seeing that weight come off for people that are watching and maybe going, should I go carnivore? Is it going to help me lose weight? What are some other things along with that, or ways that you did carnivore that you really feel like moved the needle for you?
Yeah, I think diet is huge and definitely plays a part. But I think there's, other aspects we need to look at as far as our lifestyle. Are you exercising? Are you getting out and walking? How's your hydration? Like getting out and getting morning light and, focusing on your
Yeah,
circadian health.
right.
Even just self-talk, and this is something I'm working on right now where I'm like, oh, I'm struggling to lose weight. I'm blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, I keep telling myself this story and it's becoming true. Like it's, you speak it into existence. So I'm really
Mhm.
trying to work on like oh, I'm in a healthy and happy body. And, like all that little like hocus pocus stuff, I think can really help too. And yeah, as far as the actual diet with carnivore, if you want to make any changes, you can play around with higher fat and moderate protein, or you can do higher protein and moderate fat. You can try lion diet. I've tried it all: sardine fast, egg fast, water fast. I mean, you name it, I've tried it just out of curiosity. So, yeah, all those kind of like, little changes can help break through a stall, because I think it's important to shake things up a little bit
Mhm.
too and keep your body guessing. Like, I think it's important to be consistent, but if you've been consistent with something for a while and it's not working, then change it up, right?
Yeah.
Because what's the definition of insanity? So, yeah, I think shaking things up with your macros and stuff can be helpful too.
Out of all those things that you tried, was there like, how'd you do on certain fast, the egg fast, the sardine fast? Did you notice a difference?
I mean, they all helped, but in a way, like to be honest, I would always kind of gain the weight back
Right.
eventually.
Yeah.
Like maybe not right away, but it never it never kept me there. So yeah, I think it's okay to do that to shake things up, but I think maybe more focusing on the macros for a longer period of time and try and like just messing around with the fat and the protein, I think would be more beneficial than doing one of these, quick weight loss things.
I'm so glad you said that because it really goes back to that bio individuality. There are people out there that seem to flourish on really, really high fat, meats and moderate protein. And then there's the school of people that seem to flourish on not a lot of fat. I'm going to do more leaner cuts of meat, but still keep my fat there. It's just not going to be as high. it it does, at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you, right? So this slow and steady pace, I always tell my clients, like, it was the tortoise and the hare. Remember the slow and steady tortoise won he won, he won. So look at it from that standpoint. You might be moving slow, but you're moving with this speed of like, I can maintain this as a lifestyle instead of, okay, I lost, the extra weight on the sardine fast. Do I just now have to eat sardines only for the rest of my life? I don't think that's feasible. So it's like you can get there slow and steady if you're patient with yourself. And I feel like that's what you're doing because also one thing, like I mentioned, is like you don't feel like you have to be strict carnivore. And I love that about you. There's a place for the meat-based approach where you're mostly meat, but occasionally there are some foods that are outside the wheelhouse. I heard you talk very neutrally about this in an episode recently that you did, and I loved that. I loved how you were saying, am I going to do this rest of my life? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to stay with it or if I'm going to, add some foods in, but maybe I will stay with it the rest of my life. So talking about that, like let my listeners hear about your thoughts about like strict carnivore or, kind of what I do is like when I'm with a group of people and they've cooked a meal for me, I'm not going to go, oh, I'm just going to only have the meat, thank you. Like I'm going to have the other food that they're serving out of respect for what they just cooked.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot to unpack here because this is where my brain has been the last month. I've been kind of like just unsure of everything. I feel
Mhm,
like I was so deep in carnivore and it was super helpful for probably like 2.5 years. And
mhm,
then at the 2.5 year mark, it got a little harder to stick to. And I would have the urge to like have a bite of my kids' fruit. Or, I get them these tallow fried chips, and then maybe I'd have a chip. And then it's a slippery slope. So I say this with caution, but I really feel like I kind of woke up out of my dogma towards this diet where I was so strict because that's what worked for me. And I would probably silently judge other people that were adding things back in. I think because it's uncomfortable also to see someone doing something different than what you're doing and like, oh, they're adding stuff back in. Well, I'm not, and I don't know. So honestly, I'm changing my tune lately, and I'm still kind of figuring out what that looks for me, but I've realized lately that carnivore has been amazing. It has changed my life, and I will always be very meat based. I will probably always even have some carnivore days. But yeah, I'm interested in having some fruit here and
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And, like to be honest, yesterday we went to sushi and I didn't just have sashimi, I had
yeah,
some of a roll.
yeah,
And it felt good because I went into it knowing that I was going to have that. So
Hmm.
it didn't feel like I was sitting there like, oh, I want it, but I shouldn't. And I felt like sneaky or weird. Like I went in intentionally like, I want to see how I feel with this and react to it. And honestly, I felt really good. And I had probably like, I always have good sleep, but last night was a really good sleep. And I almost wonder if it's because I finally like let myself breathe
Yeah.
and like have that without guilt. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And honestly, besides that YouTube video, I haven't really talked about it because I'm trying to figure out what that looks like for me. And I've been talking to friends offline, and I'm like, I'll probably make a video next week and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to try moving forward, like actually being a little bit more animal based.
Hmm.
And it's scary because I've accidentally made carnivore my personality and my whole brand. Like it just kind of like happened, but it's like we're meant to evolve and change. And I don't know. I just don't want to go the rest of my life without having a piece of fruit,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I mean, things can be a slippery slope for me. I'm not going to go back to trying to moderate Oreos or I can't talk, moderate Oreos, but having some whole foods on occasion, I don't think that's as bad as we've not been led to believe, but I don't believe all plants are trying to kill us. I do think some have toxins and we need to pay attention to oxalates. And of course, a lot of us feel better without having those. But yeah, I feel like this is a little long-winded. But yeah, I'm at the point right now where I'm gonna start playing around with adding some things back in, and hopefully I don't piss off our whole community by doing that.
And if you do, you do. But here's the point is like, I love everything you just said because that's balance. What you just described is balance because logically, if we were left to our own devices and we were out in nature and we had no grocery stores, we had no convenience stores, we had no order food to the house. You had to go out and hunt for your food, hunt and gather. There's a lot of times where I didn't get a kill today, but you know what? There's some berries on that tree, so at least I can live off of that. Or I'm going to have some fish today, but also there's these potatoes over here that only grow this time of year, so I'm going to have some of those. In nature, we would have access to more than just meat. Now, in the winter, of course, like where I live in the Midwest, like you're not going to find a berry anywhere. Like you're going to have to kill something, and if you don't kill, you're going to have to fast. But we don't live in that society anymore, number one, so we have access to things. Number two, when you're eating the foods that love you back, like I can tell you're not going to dive headfirst into a bag of Oreos. You're going to go and go, I like fruit. It makes me feel good. When I have a piece of fruit, I feel optimal. And that's where I find that people can find balance with the meat-based approach is like, yes, eat meat because it heals so many things in the body, but there's also some other foods that love you back when you eat them. You're not in an abusive relationship, I call it, with them. They're loving you back when you're taking them in. They're helping you digest. Maybe they're helping you sleep a little bit deeper. So do that. I don't think that we need to fit into a community just by calling ourselves a name like carnivore, because people can be runners and they only run, walk, they're running a little bit and they're walking a little bit. Do you have to be a solid runner just to be a runner? No, you can be a runner just if you run once in your life, basically. You can be a runner. So I really feel like I love the way that we always kind of get confused with social media. We hear all different schools of thought, but you have to find your truth. What's true for this person over here who's been carnivore for 25 years and hasn't touched anything but meat. Good for them. But for you and balancing the life of being a mom and being a chef that wants to maybe experiment with other foods, I can see how finding your balance will include, like you said, more of an animal-based approach.
Yeah, and I credit all this to carnivore because
Hmm.
I've learned so much and there's been so much self-awareness where it opened up a whole world to me on how about my relationship with food and how even carnivore I can turn to emotional eating with carnivore foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot on on just how I react to things. And yeah, so it'll be interesting, trying to add things back in and just with that self-awareness and paying attention to how my body feels, how my mental health is. Like yeah, I'm definitely not going to like go to vegetarianism or veganism, but yeah, being very meat heavy, but just having a little bit of flexibility with some foods that aren't triggering to me
Mhm.
and that, yeah, like make me feel good. Like I had a little energy boost from having fruit lately.
Yeah.
There's something, I think ketosis is great. I don't believe I don't believe that we need to be in ketosis all the time. I think there's something great about to be able to flex in and out of that. And yeah, having fruit, like it's just a quick shot of energy too. So I don't know. I've learned a lot these last few weeks. I've changed my thoughts on a lot of this. Yeah, so I'm still like my wheels are still turning and it feels almost a little weird even just saying this to you and your channel because I
Oh.
haven't it's a new conversation I'm starting to have. So,
Well, my channel will love it because I don't know that there's anybody that's like classic strict carnivore. It's more like meat based. And I
okay.
that's why I started calling it meat, body, and soul because it's like you can call yourself carnivore. Like I said, you can walk, run. You can still be a runner. You can still call yourself carnivore. But like I'll always joke with people that you remember the Friends episode where it's like friends with benefits. No, now it's like carnivore with benefits. Like
Yeah.
I'm mostly meat, but I'm gonna if I want some blueberries, I'm gonna have some. If somebody's cooking for me these amazing roasted Brussels sprouts, I'm gonna have them, because they spent time in the kitchen cooking for me. So I feel like there's an aspect of social, being social with our group, our village, like when they want us to eat with them, that's a natural human thing that we need to do and not isolate and go, oh, I brought my own, container of meat that I'm going to eat right here, but thank you. That's not very social. But there's also the aspect of being true to yourself and choosing the foods that are maybe on that big spread of like, oh, I'm not going to feel very good if I eat the dinner roll, but I'm going to feel pretty good if I have the green beans. So I'm going to make wise choices, and choose the foods that love me back. So I think that's the balance that I'm hearing you're coming across as too. And I want to go back to something you said because you can totally overeat on carnivore. You can totally binge on carnivore. I've been there, I've done it. I think you and I have an equal love for pork rinds. Pork rinds are not a weight loss food, by the way, on carnivore. Maybe for some people, but they're not for me. But I love them anyway, and I try to include them because they're fun. It's like having a chip. But I think I wanted to touch on that because I feel like people are like, no, I'm doing all the things, man. I'm like eating just the meat and I'm having pork rinds. But there are a few foods we have to watch out for, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, that's what made carnivore sustainable for me is having
Exactly.
dairy,
Yes.
having pork rinds.
Yes.
But yeah, I wouldn't be drowning yourself in them. I wouldn't have them make up the majority of your meal if you're having weight loss
Mhm.
struggles. Yeah, have those foods, prioritize beef and other ruminant animals and have those other foods, be an accessory on your plate. But yeah, I mean, I love pork rind cereal and it's always going to be a two bowl event. And that's not going to get me to my weight loss goals, but that's okay sometimes because sometimes, like, I mean, it's okay to eat for pleasure. I mean, I feel like a lot of things shifted with carnivore and it's more like, yes, eating for fuel, but enjoying your food. But I mean, we're human. It's natural. Like we want to enjoy our food and get some pleasure out of it. So having pork rind cereal may not lead me to my weight loss goals, but it's a fun little dopamine hit. It's like I've gotten rid of sugar and alcohol and all sorts of things. Like,
Yeah.
at least let me have these little things. But
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely probably wouldn't see the scale go down the next day.
Same with dairy. I mean, a lot of people are like they love their dairy, but it kind of can, it can keep things from stalling out a little bit. And I'm with you too. It's like I've gotten rid of so much stuff. Don't take away my coffee. And
Yeah.
don't take away, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right here on the channel. I have nut pods. I don't do well on half and half. I still use nut pods. No, it's not carnivore. It's coconut creamer. So sorry, sue me. But that's what works for me. But it's like you have to have a few of your favorites in there because we are hardwired for pleasure. When we were crying as an infant, the breast, the bottle, something was put in our mouth that was pleasurable. So we're hardwired for that pleasure. So if you don't get it in some form or fashion, your body's going to seek it out eventually. And that's where like binges and things like that can come into play. So you want to keep those little bits in there. And again, that's balance. So now you experimented too with a lot of testing your glucose on carnivore. Have you seen certain foods more so than others that were meat based actually affect your glucose on different levels?
So I wish I did more with that. I never really did like test it, eat the meal, wait 2 hours. So I never really saw that. And when I wore a CGM for 2 weeks, I wore it at the worst time I could ever do it because I had been taking berberine to help with weight loss and glucose. So my numbers were like solid, amazing the whole time. So what I would do more so is like my morning glucose and be checking that. So yeah, I never really did to see the direct impact of like a certain meal. Unfortunately, I should have done that.
Yeah. And you mentioned berberine. Did you see a difference taking that? Is that something you're still taking?
Yeah, I'm not taking it right now. I kind of go back and forth to it. But yeah, when I first started it, it definitely helped my blood sugar numbers because I feel like there's some of us that are just like on the higher side
Hmm.
where, some days I wake up and my glucose is 93 when that's probably not ideal. But yeah, I definitely saw it help keep it lower. And then it also helped with appetite too.
Something I always notice with my chefs or people that work in a kitchen or work in some sort of food service is that they do have higher amounts of insulin and glucose, even when they're not eating the foods. And it's because their body's always seeing the food and smelling the food, and it creates a cephalic phase of digestion where you will release more insulin and glucose. So I never knew if you like found that to be true for you as well.
That's interesting. I've never heard that or thought of that, but it makes sense. It's almost like, they say like why you shouldn't chew gum. It's because like your body is like getting ready to like digest something that's not like coming down there. So that's interesting. And that actually like makes a lot of sense.
So it's something to like, I wonder if like if there's times when you're like, okay, I'm done vlogging. I don't want to see food for like 3 hours because this is your job. Like this is hard for you to get away from like preparing and you have some amazing recipes, which we'll get to. But it's like this is your world is in your kitchen. And so I'm just wondering if like what it would be like if you would notice a difference if you had like 3 hours apart in the part of the day where you weren't in the kitchen or weren't having to deal with food or something.
Yeah, that's interesting and something to look at. Yeah, I mean, I've always joked with one of my friends, like trying to get the rest of this weight off. Like, I need another hobby other than food. Like, what it's like an alcoholic, like working, like bartending. So it's like, yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to pay attention to that.
That's funny. I wish we lived closer. We could go paddle boarding together. I wonder if you
Yes,
like paddle boarding because that's what I love to do.
I've never tried, but I would love
Oh
to.
yeah, we're gonna do that. Okay,
Well, shit,
so
I could see your shoulders. Like, clearly, I need to go do that. You look ripped.
well, it's a work in progress as it is with everybody. I mean, I've heard you say like people say you look so good, but you don't feel it in your own skin sometimes. And I'm the same way. Like we're our own worst critic a lot of times. So it's like we're always searching for more, which I think can be good because it like keeps you going, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you focused on, okay, I tried that, let's try this. But at the same time, I want to go back to what you said about self-talk because that really helped me too. That was something I had to come to grips with because every time I was looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, so much work to do, and this is this and that and the other. And it's cortisol every time, cortisol every time you feel that stressful thought about your body. So your self-talk is so important because then it's like it's calming. Your body stays more calm. And especially now, like with you possibly dealing with the toxic mold exposure, it's like just keep saying this too shall pass. I'm going to get past this. It's going to teach me a lot because I can speak for that. It taught me so much and it helped me go on to help other people. You always turn your pain into purpose, but it teaches you so much about yourself and it can become actually a really good helper to you as you learn how to navigate your nutrition because you figure out what doesn't work and you figure out what does work and you figure out that part of what does work is how much I'm like talking to myself like we can do this, we can get through this, working with your body because you were probably like me way back in the day when we were fighting against our body, like all the cardio and all the low fat foods and all that, you're trying every diet and it's like you're working against it. Now I feel like you're in a place where it's like you're talking to yourself kindly, how we would talk to our children if they were dealing with something. And so I can see that in you. And I love that you mentioned the self-talk.
Yeah, I think it's super important, and I'm definitely a work in progress, and don't do that great of a job most times, but I feel like at least I'm aware of it where I
That's the
never
first
was
step.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, like working against her body. Yeah, I had I'm trying to think, I talked to Ben Azadi about this. I don't remember on whose channel it was. But we talked a lot about self-talk and how he actually has like a whole chapter on that in his latest book. And even just like the you are the placebo stuff, like our
Mhm.
thoughts are so powerful. He mentioned this story about like in war and morphine, and they ran out of morphine, so, but they were still injecting the soldiers with like just saline, but they
Mm.
believed it was morphine, so
Mhm.
they weren't in pain. So it just shows like our thoughts are so powerful. And yeah, we need to talk nicely to ourselves instead of pointing out all the flaws and focusing on all our struggles. Like, yeah, I might need to lose 10 to 15 more pounds, but dang, I need to remember like how far I've came. Like
Yeah.
I'm down almost 60 pounds. Like that's amazing. I need to appreciate, where my body has come from. And yeah, I see all these stretch marks, but I have two amazing healthy kids here that,
Mhm.
the stretch marks brought me. So yeah,
Yes.
I think self-talk is important for sure.
Yeah, and I think if we talk to ourselves the way we would talk to someone else or our children, if they were dealing with the same kind of inner struggle that we do, our voices would be much different if we were talking to them than they are to ourselves. So if we can get in that mindset of like, okay, how would I talk to somebody else if they were dealing with this issue that I am? Let me start talking to myself that way because I deserve that much respect too. So that's really cool. Like you said, it's the first step is just working on it. And it's always going to be a work in progress because there's still going to be times where you like go past you're walking down the road and you're looking in the mirror or the windows of like the shops and you're like, oh, is that me? Oh gosh, like why did I wear that today or whatever. But then it's like you flip a switch and you're like, oh nope, not gonna go there because I'm gonna talk kindly to myself just like I want to talk kind to other people. So yeah, it is a powerful thing. And then on top of that, it's like now your self-care comes along with that too. So do you have some self-care that you like to do that kind of calms your nervous system down?
I used to be so much better about that. But yeah, I am trying to like tap back in and just even like taking a few minutes to just, meditate or
Hmm.
listen to music and just quiet your thoughts and just, practice gratitude. Um, Simple things like personal hygiene self-care, like going to get my nails done
Yeah,
or taking an extra long shower. Like I feel like I have like my best thoughts are in the shower. I even just recently got a
right.
whiteboard and a marker for the shower because I'm always like, oh my gosh, I need to write this down. Yeah, just taking time for yourself and knowing that that's not selfish because I feel
Mhm.
like as moms also it's like okay we're taking time away from the kids to do this for ourselves and you feel guilty but it's the whole oxygen mask on a plane like you can't pour from an
Yeah.
empty cup like you really need to take care of yourself so you can pour that into them. So I also do a lot of stuff at the gym because it's guilt free because my kids are in classes at the gym and they love it so they're having the time of their lives and I get a workout in, go in the sauna, steam
Right.
room, like all that kind of stuff, lay outside by the pool. So I really try and give myself that alone time. Like I need alone time.
Mhm.
I joke that I would thrive in solitary confinement. Like I truly enjoy like being by myself.
Oh,
So being a homeschool mom and having my kids 24/7, it's a lot. And
it
like
is.
I'm an introvert too. So I need that time by myself to recharge. So I'm better about not feeling guilty about it because if I don't have it, then I'm a worse mom. Like I need to have that time so I can show up better for my kids and my husband.
Yeah, that's so funny because you wouldn't think of you as an introvert when you watch your videos because you're so funny and you're humorous when you're doing things, but you are always at home by yourself. So maybe that's part of it. I call myself a reclusive extrovert. Like I'm very extrovert, I'm very outgoing, but like I like to be at home. I like to be
Okay,
reclusive
yeah.
at home. So,
No, I'm very introverted because I mean, if you think about it, I'm just talking to my phone. Like when
uh-huh.
I go to these events and I
Yeah.
have to speak I mean, I'm like a nervous wreck, even just at meat
Oh,
stock. Like before we got on stage, like my ears were on fire. I was like shaking. Like I'm
oh,
just used to talking to my phone, but I also feel like I'm extroverted when I'm around people that like I know or like I'm comfortable with. Like I
Yeah.
feel like, now we're chatting and I can be like motor mouth and won't shut up when I feel comfortable. But like right off the bat, like I'm very like shy and quiet and I probably come across as being rude, but really I'm just like socially awkward.
No, well, I'm glad I make you comfortable enough to
Yes.
come out of your shell. Yeah, no, and I have a lot of respect for parents that homeschool more than one. I only have one, but two, it's a lot. There's always something going on. There's always one that needs you more than the other, or vice versa. And it's not easy to teach different grades. I'm teaching one grade, whereas people of multiples have all these different grades they're teaching. So I have a lot of respect for somebody like you you're doing the homeschooling, the vlogging, you're creating recipes, you're running a household. So is there a secret there to how you get all that done?
Everything is done half-ass because yeah, I have people, how do you do it all? I'm like, well, I don't. Like you should see like my house right now is a complete disaster, but all you see is just me right here. You can't see the disaster around me.
Oh,
So yeah, if I'm thriving in one area, I'm failing at the rest. Like
oh my gosh.
if my house is clean, then probably nobody is fed or being taken care of. But if
Yeah.
everyone's like, if I'm doing amazing meals and everyone's thriving, then my house is a mess. So I can't find like a good balance. I'm not doing too great at that, but I will say like I do have an amazing husband that's supportive. I have my mom's help, like she's here with the kids right now. She even helps do their laundry, like bless that lady. And I outsource some homeschool. It's
Oh,
not all
nice.
on me
Yeah.
because I just honestly, that was never a goal to
Yeah.
homeschool. I wasn't like, yes, I'm going to be an amazing homeschool teacher. Like it was never my goal. I just felt like it was something that we just needed to do and what was best for the kids. So we have a co-op we go to and we have these other classes. So it's not just all on me because yeah, when you rattle off all the things I'm doing right now, like it's a lot and I'm
Yeah.
struggling. Like, yeah, so it's not, yeah, I'm not thriving at all that. But yeah, I think you just, do the best you can and also like lean on people. I think, when, back in the day we had that community. We had that
Hmm.
tribe and everybody was like pitching in. Now everyone's just like on their own. So yeah, I'm super grateful that, my mom is here all the time to help me out and my husband is like a hands-on husband when he's home and I kind of almost like take the weekends off. Like they joke about like passenger princess, when the wife is like not driving and I feel like that's kind of me on the weekends. Like I'm there spending time with my family, but I feel like he kind of like takes the lead and does like more of the parenting. So I kind of like get that little break too from like the mental,
Yeah.
capacity of it. So yeah, all that to say, no, I'm not doing it all.
Well, again, I think that sounds like balance. Like maybe not everything is perfect and pristine, but what is in the world? So it's like if your kids are fed and they're played with and well cared for, but the house is a mess, that's still balance to me. So I love that. And yeah, it's something that what I call phenomenal. Like when moms are always trying to be everything to everyone, it's like you're trying to be phenomenal, but at the same time, maybe it's just like you said, keep your village in hand because they need purpose too. I'm the same as you. I have two retired school teacher aunts. They used to be school teachers, but they're retired now. So I'm like, hey, you want to take social studies and you want to take spelling? And that way you like field out to your village and they have Zoom calls with my daughter and they teach her that. So I'm off the hook on those. So I
That's
love what you're
amazing.
doing. Like keep your village, your immediate village. We're so concerned about this worldwide village, but when the chips are down, I love that we have lots of followers and stuff like that, but they can't be there for us like our immediate village. So that's really important that people keep that immediate tribe going, and that's what it sounds like you're doing. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to talk about some of your recipes because I love your dinner rolls. Those are really easy and they're fun. And your biscuits and gravy, those are outstanding. My husband loves those. So tell me, maybe there's some recipes that you're working on. I have not tried pork rind cereal. I need to maybe try this because I haven't tried this. So tell me some recipes that are your favorites.
Yeah, so I have two pizza recipes in there, but the carniza one is something we do all the time.
Hmm.
Bacon cheeseburger soup is another easy one that nobody complains about, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And honestly, I feel like I need to open up my book and see like what else I did because I really just go to like those two and we need to like branch out a little bit more. My kids need some more variety. But we mainly just keep it simple. Like we
Yeah.
do steaks, burger patties. I'm trying to think breakfast. I usually like give them some sausage and like a yogurt and I'll put some jam that doesn't have added sugar in it.
Hmm.
And yeah, we keep it basic, but I do throw in, the fun recipes in here and there just to keep it more exciting for them. But yeah, I feel like those are my go-to. The noodles I like, lasagna. I don't even remember what else is in there. I need to open that thing up. My goodness.
I saw the video you did recently on the cinnamon rolls, and that
Oh
looked like
yeah.
I've made them another way before, but I want to try them your way because they look like they held together a little bit more. So, yeah, the carnivore
Yeah,
cinnamon
so
rolls look good.
yeah, that's actually using the pizza crust recipe from the
Okay.
Carnisa. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it add in some vanilla and cinnamon, but yeah, the same base. So yeah, that's good too. I forgot I ate that whole pan last week. No one else ate them.
You know what? There are worse things to overeat on than like everything that's made of meat, right? Like there
Yeah.
are so many worse things you could be doing. So I love that. So, okay. So one question I like to ask my guests lastly is Audrey Hepburn has a quote, and it is, I believe that every day should have one exquisite moment. So, like, what would you say so far? I know your day is a little earlier than mine, but what has been your exquisite moment so far?
Um, so far, well, I will say driving, we got a new van. So we got
Ooh,
like a converted van, if you will. Technically, it's a motorhome because of the wet head.
yeah.
But it's my new daily driver. We
Nice.
replaced my minivan. So this morning on the way to the gym was my first time actually driving it besides the test drive. So we had it all weekend, but I'm like, I just let my husband drive it. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm gonna drive it soon enough. And yeah, we were driving to the gym, and I'm like, after this chaotic morning of the mold, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm driving this for the first time, and it's just so fun. So yeah, just realizing that this little van is going to bring us like so many fun adventures and just
Right.
like a new lifestyle for my family. And honestly, we might have to live in it if my house has mold in it. So it couldn't have come at like a better time. And yeah, so that's been the highlight so far is just driving my kids to the gym in our new van.
How awesome. So, okay, so it's like you actually could go camping in it because I think I remember you talking on a podcast you were thinking about getting one, but so this you could actually camp in. There's like a little bathroom where the sink and the shower is all in one or something.
Yeah, so it's a Dodge Solus and
Uh-huh.
Winnebago like did like the refit on the inside. So yeah, it's 19.9 feet. So if you see like
Wow.
the smaller Mercedes Sprinters, it's
Hmm.
like, a little bit bigger than that. And we have a pop top, so it has a bed up there. The back bench folds down to a bed, so it sleeps four. There's
Wow.
a double burner, like gas burner stove. There's a mini fridge, there's a sink, and then yeah, there's a little like closet that has the shower slash toilet.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's just it sounds a little crazy to be like actually having it as my daily driver too. But I felt like it didn't feel any different than my minivan today. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get a generator for it too, so we don't always have to be somewhere that has hookups. But yeah, you just
Yeah.
hook it up and it's going to be like a regular RV, just a little smaller. So
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm gonna have to see a picture of that because it sounds amazing.
yeah,
So,
I shared a picture, but everyone's like, I need a van tour. So, once
oh,
I can like clear my head, I feel like everything's so busy right
yeah.
now, then yeah, I'll do like a proper video. And I don't know, I might be doing some more like cooking videos from it. We'll have to see. Like this could be my new office.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That would be fun. That would be fun to see you cooking like
Yeah.
while you're camping too and making
Yeah.
all these different great recipes. So, okay, so where can people find you? Because they're going to want to see that video once you get it uploaded.
I am everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, come say hi. It's Courtney Luna.
Uh-huh.
YouTube is just Courtney Luna. Yeah, slide into my DMs and say hi.
And they can get your book where?
So it's online on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart. And in stores, select Barnes and Noble. I would check before you go because it's not in many, but it is in some.
Hmm.
If you're in Canada, Indigo is online, but last I checked, it's been a while, but it was actually in quite a few Indigo stores, which was
Mm,
surprising.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Amazon's probably like the easiest thing. It's usually like the cheapest too.
Hey, yeah, Carnivore in the Kitchen. Check it out, you guys. So thank you so much, Courtney. We're gonna have to do this again because I think I could just talk to you more and more.
Yes,
So
thank you for having me. No, I feel like thank you for the therapy session today. I really
oh,
needed this.
no, it's my pleasure. I know the qualms of like finding out something like mold, and it's not easy, but it is reversible. So just remember that. So you're already doing this meat-based approach that's not causing any more stress on your body. So keep that because that's going to keep you healthy throughout, your detoxing and stuff like that. So, and if you get to live in a van, it's just all part of the adventure. So
I mean, honestly, RV life has been my dream, but like in a bigger RV. So I don't
right.
know, like, but yeah, I mean, hey, we might be full-time living in this van.
Yeah, and then you can come to the Midwest and I'll take you paddling. You can just drive right
Yes,
out here. So,
absolutely.
all right, enjoy the rest of your day and thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, after much deliberating and decision making, I have some news to share. I've decided to run my consulting business on a pay what you want donation based approach. That's right, all my coaching calls, consultations, and even a couple of new services I've added are now a pay what you want fee. With how expensive everything is in the world, I don't think your health should be something that you can't afford to take care of. I love what I do, and working with clients on their health goals, it's my passion, and I don't want to let the cost of figuring out what's going on with your health to be the reason why you won't work on it with me. So whether it's a 30-minute express coaching call, a full-scale nutrition therapy consultation, one of my new lifestyle and habit forming coaching calls I offer, or my most exciting offer, breathwork coaching, it's all donation based. You can learn more or sign up at meetbodyandsoul.com/services. And listen, don't let any cost, anyone, anything hold you back from feeling better. You haven't come this far in life for you to only come this far. You can go farther, and I would love to be your coach and your cheerleader to help you get there.